Hi friends, I am Shiva. Welcome to Learn Java Selenium Basics within 7 hours. Today we are in R3, right? So in the class 1 we have discussed about how to configure Eclipse and uh, Java and all this, and day 2 we have discussed about conditions and looping. There we have discussed lot of programs and exercises, and today we are going to start with the classes and objects, right? So class and how to create instance variables and how to call those how to assign values to the instance variables and how to create objects and how to create methods and how to access those methods using the objects. So those things we are going to learn today. So method overloading is the part of the methods that I will show you in that demo. Okay, see basically what is class. Okay, see in object oriented programming we are going to take everything as a real-time object. For example, I want to take one known example that is called student. See, whenever I talk about student, there will be some common member data, or we can say that their own attributes and their behaviors, right? So here I am focusing on attributes and their behavior. See here the attributes in the sense what we can say, like student ID and their name, then their address, then date of birth, then their class, their subjects and their examination marks and total, then rank, then their so the things which is unique for the student, so those things are the attributes, right? So now these attributes are going to have their own values. For example, we can take the example of student Jack, right? So Jack have his own ID, name, then their marks, and mark 1, mark 2, mark 3, like we can take physics, chemistry, biology, whatever, then his total mark. So these are the attributes of the Jack. So like that we can say many Jack and Sparrow, then John, then Albert and Nancy. So any number of students are there, right? So what we are going to say is class is a blueprint, like which is going to have common attributes and their common methods. So we are going to create one structure and we are going to create a copy from the structures. Like for example, when I create one structure for the particular when I create the structure for the one student, then it is common for all the students, so that other students can copy it from the structure like a blueprint. So first I will create the structure and the other students will take copy from the structure, like so that's why one class can have any number of students but their attributes are common, so that instead of creating a structure for each and every student, I can create one common structure so that I can reuse the each and every things. Like that we are going to do now. We will create one common structure so that other students can copy the data from their structures. That is called object, right? So one class can have any number of, that's why I told you we will create one structure and other students can make the copy from the student, like Jack, Tom, Jerry and Sparrow. These are the copies, so they will have their own copies. Like when you take Jack ID is different, name is different, address is different, date of birth is different, like that. Tom also different, Jerry also different, Sparrow also different. So like that we are going to do now. So there is a structure, others will take a copy from the original structure, right? So this is syntax I will show you in the demo. So as of now you should know what is class. So class is a blueprint which is going to have its attributes and behaviors. Behaviors means it's a methods. For example, I want to calculate total mark. So when I want to calculate total mark, I need attributes, like I need mark 1, mark 2, mark 3. See, when I have mark 1, mark 2, mark 3, so that I can able to calculate the total mark. So that is the idea behind why we are having methods, right? So methods are going to operate on the data, like whatever the data we have collected from the student, like ID, name, mark 1, mark 2, mark 3. So these are the these methods are going to operate on the collected data from the student. So now what is class? Class which is going to have attributes and its methods. This is class, this is called class, right? So what is object? Object is the instance of class. It means one class can have any number of objects. So objects which is going to have copy of the its own copy from the class. Like if we take student, the object is going to have one copy from the student, right? So that's what I want to clarify, the what is class and object. So now I will show you the demo. I will start showing the demo so that you will get clear picture about how to implement class and how to create instance variables and how to access those six fields. So this is one of the interview question, how to explain classes and objects. So the class is a blueprint, you can say that, then which is going to have member data and member functions, right? This is one point. The second point is one class can have any number of objects, like you can take the student structure, so you can say that different names, so the different names are going to have its own copies. That's it. You can proceed now. I'll create one example. So here I will take one example like classes. Sorry, so here I need to select the Java project. So Java project, I'm using Ctrl+N to create the new project. So click on next. Here you can give classes and objects demo. You can click finish it off. So here once you created, it will give you one project structure. Here you need to create one package. I told you in Java package is a collection of classes. So inside the package we are going to create the classes. So here the always packages should be in the small letters. You create like this, and what you have to do is, now you have to create one class file. So there you can create your instance variables and methods, right? So here I will create one class file now. So right click and click on new, then give a class name. Here you can give classes and objects. So I need main method, so click on finish button. So now it will create one class structure. Now the class is going to have main method, right? Okay, let it be. See, what I am going to do is, now I want to create one class called student. So right, you can go up, we create one class called so always class name should start with the capital letters, right? So also whenever we are going to create instance variables, it must be the small letters. Sorry, it should follow the camel case. I will show you what is camel case. So here I want to create one name, student name. So I want to declare that as a string student name. By default I want to give Tom. First I will create one simple example so that you can able to understand. So string name, so I want to give int student, right, int student ID. So I want to give 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so here I want to declare 3 marks. Int I will give m1, int m2 and int m3. So these are the 3 variables I am going to declare for the student. Okay, so I want to assign some default values for these 3 marks. So I will give 90. Here 90. Our student is a very good student, so we will get 90. So now we have given 3 marks, and I want to give int total. So now we have created the class and we have declared the variables, right? So these are the member data, means instance variable. When the class contains the variables, so these variables are called instance variables. Okay, so now I want to access these variables from the main method. How to access? So you cannot access directly. For example, now I want to give system.out.println. So now I want to print the name of the student. So name is Tom, right? So now here I want to print the name is Tom. So for that, so I am writing system.out.println to print the Tom. So you cannot directly access those variables. just that's why I wanted to show here. So here you can give student name, right? So now it will show the error. I will show you where it will show you the error. So now there is a variable called student name, right? I will copy it. Okay, so you cannot access directly because it is inside the class. These are the instance variables. So when you want to access the instance variable, you need the instance of the student, then only you can able to access. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create the object. So I will show you the syntax of creating object. So this is the object. So now I want to create object for the Jack, right? So sorry, Tom. So here creation of object is class name, then object name. I want to create object for the Tom, right? New is the keyword which is used to allocate memory for the this Jack. So whenever you create, you know, use new keyword, that will allocate memory for the particular class. So now student. So here I want to create a object for the student, right? So class name, sorry. So class name, then I want to create object for the Tom, right? So Tom equal to new student of. So now I have created the object. Now the memory will be created, and now this is the object, right? So this is the student object. What I'm going to do is I can access now Tom dot student name. Now it is accessible, so that you can get the value of Tom now. So whenever you want to access instance variable, you have to create an object for the particular class, then you can access, right? So now this Tom will access the student name. If you execute this program, you will get that value of Tom. So right click, then you can click run as, then you can click on Java application. So now it will display the Tom. So like that you can access all the variables. See here, you are getting now the name is Tom. So if you want to do any format changes, so you can able to do. So here you can write student name is, right, student name. So when you execute this program, you will get the student name is Tom. Now I click the execute button, so it will display the student name is Tom now. So it's taking some time to execution, right? So here you are getting the result with some format conversion. Okay, so like that you can display now all the variables of the student. So here you can write student name, and here you can write student ID also. Student ID. So now this method, so now this variable will display student name as well as student ID also. So this is the way you can access your member data, right? So there is one more concept is there, encapsulation and all. So I will cover it in different demo. Just we will focus on how to access the instance variables, right? Okay. So now we have now we can able to access the instance variables. Okay, so now I want to calculate a total for the Tom. What I'm going to do is I will create one method now. See that the method syntax is here. You can come, and if you see here, so the first thing is return type, then the method name, then the arguments, right? So 3 arguments it is expected, so it's not 3 arguments. So if you want, you can give the arguments, so argument 1, argument 2 and argument 3. So the method is going to have some arguments, which means that whenever I'm going to call in this method, I will pass the arguments. So the syntax is return type. So the return type is, it can be void or integer, or it can be character or string, which means that whenever I am going to call this method, it should return some value. That's why we are having here return type. For example, if I expect integer value, when I call calculate total, that method should return one integer value, right? So in that situation, I will write integer. Now this I'm not expecting any value from this method, so I will return void. So I will give one sample method, void display. So this is my one method. So here if you write it's loading. So now I'm going to call this method, and I'm not expecting any value from this method. See, for example, here I'm from display method, right? So now I'm not expecting anything from this method. That's why I'm giving void over there. So void means nothing, right? So I'm not expecting. So when I call this method, this method should not return any value. That's why we are giving here void. So void means uh, it should not return any value. So instead of void, I want to write public. Okay. So public void display. So now this method will not return any value. So I'm giving visibility of public in this method. Usually the method should be in public visibility. So here I want to call that method. So that object name is Tom. So here Tom dot display. So this is the way you can able to call your method. So now if you execute this program, so this will return I am from display method. It will display like that. Okay. So now what I want to do is I want to write one method so that I can calculate the total of the student for the term. So now I'm working for the term. So here I will write public. I want to return one value from this method, public int, and method is I will write calculate total. Okay. Okay. So so calculate total. So whenever it's showing here, which means that we here we are giving integer, but we are not returning any value. So time being I'm giving return 0, so that error will go off now. Time being, because I'm giving return type is integer. So as per this method, you should return some 0 value. So return is a keyword, will return some value to the calling method, right? So here what I'm going to do is int total equal to. So now I want to add those variables. So m1 plus m2 plus m3. So now these three variables are added, and that variable value is now contains the total value. So now this total variable is a local variable, right? So now this total variable will not available here, right? So now this, because I have not declared in this area, so this is the instance variable. This focus completely throughout the program. But when you declare any variable inside the method, this is a local variable. You cannot access this variable in main method. That is called local variable. Whenever you declare the variable inside the method, that is called a local variable. So here you can write total. So now this method will return one value total, right? Okay. So now what I'm going to do is, now I want to calculate the total for the term marks. Now int. So result, right? So result equal, because when you call this method like tom dot calculate total, so when you call this method, what will happen is, so this method will return an integer value. That value should be received in this area. So that is the reason I am calling this method. So when you call this method, it will return one value total. That value will be received in this result area. So now I want to display that total value. So total marks. So that variable. So the total marks stored in the total variable. Here you can write result. Okay. So yeah, if you want to mention here result of Tom, right? So this is the camel case, which means that so each and that variable should starts with the small letter. After coming, each and every word starts with the capital letter. See here, this is called camel case, right? Starts with the small letter, and the same thing if you see here also I am writing calculate total, right? There are two words. The first word starting with the small letter, after coming all the words starts with the capital letter. So you have to follow this naming convention. This is called this should apply for variables and methods, whether it is local variable or instance variable. So uh, you should follow this naming convention. Okay, so here now if you execute this program, you will get the total mark for the student. The result of the sum is 270. So 9 plus 9, 90 plus 90 plus 90, so 270. Okay, so this is one way we can write create methods and all. So now what I want to do is I want to create one more object. For example, I want to create for the Jerry, right? So here I'm going to write one method for that. So public and void set, right, set data. So I will write one set data, and this method is not going to return any value. So when I am going to set the data for, and I want to, okay, so I will write string name, then int id and int mark1, int mark2 and int mark3. Okay, so there are right. So by default I want to assign total is 0 by default. Okay, so while calling that method I will assign that value as 0. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is, okay, let it be, we will add the code after creating object. So now I'm going to create object for the student class again. So here if you write a student, I want to create for now Jerry object. Here new student of, right? Now I'm creating one more object for the Jerry object. So now what I'm going to do is Jerry dot set data. So Jerry obj, right? So Jerry obj dot set data. So now this method will be called, and it is expecting some, because the above statement we have assigned some arguments, right? So I want to give the name is Jerry, and I want to give ID name is I want to give 1 2 3 4 5 6, and mark 1 is I want to give 75, mark 2 also 75, and mark 3 also 75, right? And I want to assign total is 0. By default I am assigning some value, right? So initially I want to assign total as 0, right? So here, so when you call this method, what will happen is, now this method will send those values to these arguments. So name will receive Jerry. So now I want to assign that Jerry to this student name, right? So because we need to assign those value to the instance variables. So what I am going to do is I want to assign student name equal to name. So now the Jerry is assigned to the student name, and so here their student ID equal to ID. What is happening? Okay, student ID equal to, so here I have the value of ID, because this ID will receive one value, right? So mark 1, mark 2, mark 3 already received 75, 75, 75. I want to assign those variable to the instance variable, then only I can able to access from the main method, right? So there also M1, here also M1, that is not an issue, M1 equal to M1. So the problem is now it will get confusion which M1 I am referring. So here also M1 and here also M1. So I want to differentiate. So that's why there's a keyword called this. When you write this dot M1, so when the variable have this, that will denote the instance variable, right? So now this M1 will refer the this M1. Now this 90 will be replaced by 75. The same thing, this dot M2 equal to, you can write M2. When the class variable, which means that when the instance variable and the parameters are same, if you want to differentiate, we can differentiate by this dot M1, right? So keep remember this denotes current object. So this dot, one of the important interview question, so this keyword, use of this keyword, right? So M3. So now this dot total will be assigned with initially 0, total equal to this dot total equal to anyhow equal to total. Okay. So this is done now. Okay, so now what I want to do is I want to write so now if I call this calculate total, what will happen? So what I want to do is I will write one method over here, void display. Okay, so display is already okay. Display student data. Okay, so here I will write display student data. So here I'm going to display the student data. So here what I'm going to do is I am going to send parameter as one object. For example, here student is a class. I will write one object. So now this method will receive object as the parameter, and here if you write object dot name, here we are writing student name, right? So student name. So here if you write CISO, if you write okay, system dot out dot println student name. Okay, so here if you write student name is, so what will happen is when I call this method, I will send object as the parameter over here, right? So that's what I want to show you that some differences, right? So system dot out dot println. So here I wanted to show ID, so ID. Then if you write obj dot student ID, and I want to display the total also, so I am going to write directly so here total is, if you write obj dot total, right? Okay, so now I have created two methods, right? So now this method will receive the that values are the arguments. I am assigning those values to the class variables, and I am accessing those variables. For example, here instead of writing obj.total, I want to add it here. Okay, so for simplicity I will write int total equal to, so obj contains obj dot m1, because it's a student object, right? So obj can access the student member variable, so obj dot m2, then plus obj dot m3, right? So now you can display here total. Okay, So this is the way, this is one more way display student data is receiving as the student obj, right? Okay, so now what I'm going to do is here I am going to call cherry obj dot display student data of Jerry obj. So now what will happen? So now Jerry obj already contains name as Jerry, IDs 375 75 75 0. So now this method set data will assign those values to the Jerry object. Right? Now that Jerry object will have name as Jerry and 1 2 3 4 5 6 75 75 75. Now I am sending this Jerry obj to the this display student data. So now this obj will receive the this Jerry obj. Now Jerry obj will return the Jerry name and ID is 1 2 3 4 5 6 75 75 75 will be added, will be display the total value. Okay, now I want to execute this program. Right? So if you see here, the student name is Jerry and ID is 1 2 3 4 5 6 and total is 225. So this is one more way. So we can directly send the values also, we can directly send the object also. So these are the ways we can send the parameter. And so this method, now this method is returning the integer value. So what I'm going to do is, so here I want to write one more return. So public int, here I will write calculate total. So here I want to write int m1 comma int m2 comma int m3. So you can give space between arguments. Okay, so now anyhow this is going to return an integer value. So you can write by default return. I want to write m1 plus m2 plus m3. So why I am writing here is, we can able to see here same method name, right? Same method name, but this method is not contains any argument, but this method contains 3 arguments, m1 m2 m3, right? So here you can able to see the difference. This is called method overloading. Same method name with no arguments, same method name with the 3 arguments, right? So same method name with different arguments, but this method overloading is not depend on the return type. For example, if I write void also, this will be considered as the method overloading only, right? So here int total equal to, this also I can able to do. Here I can print here m2 plus m3. Here you can also write so here you can write total. Okay, so here the thing is that it depends on only the method name with the arguments, which is method overloading is not depends on the return type, only depends on method name with the number of arguments. Also sometime it will be position wise also, right? For example, some other method can have same calculate total with the integer, string and integer also, that also fine. For example, I will give you one more. So if you write here public public, I will write void, I will write calculate total. Here now if you see here, same method name, but here integer, here void, but still it is showing here because it's expecting the different number of arguments, not with the different return types. So if I write only integer a or integer m1, and in some of the students may have only 2 subjects, right? So if I write m1 m2, so here you can write if I write here return okay, so it must be here integer. If I write okay, so return m1 plus m2, m1 plus m2. Okay, so now this is called method overloading. So same method name, there are three calculate methods. If you want, you can able to give one more method which contains different data types also. For example, here if I write I cannot, okay, for time being it can be string str1, then string str2 also. So it must be now string, right? So it must be now str1 plus str. So now it will concatenate the two strings. So just I want to give some differences. So here if you see one method with the no parameters, one method with the 3 parameters, one method with the 2 parameters with the string type. So this is called method overloading. Okay, so today we have seen about what is class and how to create instance variable and how to access those instance variable from the main method, and how to create methods, and how to call these methods using objects, and how to send the parameter to the class variables, and how to do calculation inside, and what is local variable and what is instance variable, and how to do the how to create variables like it should follow the camel case for creating local variables and instance variables, and methods also it should follow the same format. So this is the basic of creation of classes and objects. So we will see more depth on classes and objects on the next video. There I will discuss about constructors and all. So as of now I am focusing only on classes and objects, right? See, you can do one thing. I will give you one small assignment. You can create one class called the employee. So you can create employee ID and employee name and HRA and DA and HRA and DNS allowance and basic salary. Then you can write total salary. So whatever I have done for the student, you can able to do the same for now employee also. The same methods you can, instead of calculating total, you can write a method for calculating salary and display the details. So whatever I have done for the student, you can able to do the same for the employee also. If you can try this assignment, so that you will get some idea of how to create class and how to create instance variables and how to create methods. So that's why I'm giving this exercise. So next video we'll discuss about constructors. So I think next video I will complete Java from day 5, day 6, sorry, hour 5, hour 6, hour 7. I'll complete on Selenium also. So thanks for watching the video. Share this video to others so that they will get benefit, and subscribe this video for more videos. Thanks for watching.